More of an emotional.
Yeah.
The other one, so two out of the five, I was like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Um, I was surprised at how specific it was. It said, Cindy, you seem like a fun person. You're a Timberwolves cheerleader. You make cookies at your open houses. And it named like five things that make me a fun person. It's like, I don't feel like that's reflected in your social media.
Mm, very interesting.
Yeah. And I think both of
Press
them
your
are
own mute.
very accurate.
Who gave
I
you
am
this
a fun
feedback?
person. Pardon?
I came late, but where are you getting this feedback from?
Chat GPT.
She
Buh.
plugged into chat. That's why I asked her, right? So the other day she mentioned she put into chat GPT, what are the five holes that my business could benefit from? And chat GPT gave her five, two of which she said were kind of throwaways, and the other three she thought was relevant. So we were just
Huh.
chatting about that stuff.
Fascinating. Let's take a spin. Not what I was going to talk about today, but I'm very passionate about social media. Surprise, surprise. But let's talk about that. I gave an example at a talk I gave a couple weeks ago that my husband just put um, parental controls on our TV. And my son is 6, and so he's had a couple years without parental controls. Well, he had a bloody murder breakdown because he couldn't fast forward through the commercials. He told me that the TV was broken. It is not broken. He just no longer has access to YouTube. So he has to watch regular old TV, which comes with commercials. And it was the biggest aha moment for me because that's exactly what every single consumer, that is our reaction. Whether we scream like a 6-year-old or we just move on, when we see anything that looks like a commercial, our brain shuts down because of our survival instinct. We as humans are wired to constantly be looking for things that are going to benefit us. So if we see somebody selling, we immediately shut it off. So it just was like such a, I've been doing social media for years and I've been teaching on it, but it was like such a, oh my gosh, my 6-year-old doesn't want anything to do with a commercial. Neither does anybody that we are trying to work with. So examples of that are when we see when we see somebody holding up a key at a title company and it says, she said yes to the address, that is a commercial. Why? Because you're a realtor and you're standing in a title company. When we see branded, beautifully curated posts that came from Canva and have our brand and logo on it, that is a commercial. And so people fly through it. So actually what I did want to talk about today was going to share an experience that I had yesterday at a listing appointment with a downsizer. And I'm making it a social media post today. So it goes perfectly into what you're talking about, Cindy. Hi, Kristen. Welcome to the LFG call. I'm Gretchen Kingma, and we're so excited you're here. We are talking about how to make social media work for us. And it came out of ChatGPT being really rude to Cindy and saying that her business social media didn't reflect how fun she is. So let's go into it. I have shared on this call the room reflection exercise. If you don't recall what that is, I'm just going to give you a quick overview because it goes into my experience from yesterday. The room reflection exercise, let me share my screen because I actually have it pulled up right here, is a very easy template that I made in Canva, and it helps downsizers and right sizers answer the question, where do we start with the stuff? Because that's everybody's first question. But what about all my stuff? And so this template is free to our members. And if you are not a member, then let me know how you can. If you are interested in downloading this and making it look like your brand, let me know and I'll get you the link. If you are a member, you can search after today's call room reflection in Kajabi, and you will be able to download your own template and make it for you. But let me unshare my screen. What the room reflection exercise is, I bring that on beautiful cardstock. It costs me maybe 75 cents per or 50 cents per, depending on how many I get printed. I put it in my folder for my listing appointment, whether it is a downsizer, whether it's a move up buyer, because guess what? I'm 35 and I got too much stuff. It's not just seniors that are inundated with stuff. It's for right sizers, it's for move up, it's for downsizers. So I put this in my listing folder. I don't do a formal, slideshow presentation when I meet my clients. I just have conversation and then have some tools. This is one of my tools. I also bring with me a sticky pad, and it is what are they called? Sticky notes, a pad of sticky notes. And I say, this is the room reflection exercise. I know that you are so overwhelmed. I can see it in your face. I can feel the energy in the room that you're wondering, where are we going to start with all this stuff? This exercise breaks it down for you. Put a sticky note at every light switch or at the door of every room. And over the next month, I want you to write down what you went into that room for and the date. So when you go into a room, write the date and what you went into that room for. At the end of the month, pour yourself a glass of wine. If they don't drink, I say, like in your morning coffee, pour yourself a beverage of choice and put your sticky notes on the table. Take inventory of which room you went into the least, and that's the first room you can get rid of the stuff. You didn't go into the sewing room. You haven't touched those college textbooks for 35 years. They can go. This is a real conversation I'm having with my husband right now. I'm like, ChatGPT can tell you everything that accounting book can tell you. At last, we still have it in our basement. So at the end of the month, you go through that. Now, to us, this might sound like a very rudimentary exercise. Yes or yes? It's kind of basic. Yesterday, I am meeting with clients who I hate the term dripping on, that I've been touching for 2.5 years. They found my information from an OT student that I had. Kristen, we've not met. I'm an occupational therapist by trade. So why would I have an OT student? They're learning about real estate in the healthcare space. I had a student 2 years ago put a flyer with my number, you see at the coffee shops where you can tear off your number at the bottom. I was like, I wonder if these actually work. Guess who it works for? Older adults and downsizers, because they want someone local that they can trust. So I had a student, I made a flyer. She went and put it out on all the coffee shop billboards, tack boards, and I got a lead from it. And we've been in contact. When I went on my first listing appointment, they said, well, we're thinking about 5 to 10 years from now. And I'm like, oh, okay. I've never had anyone so prepared. Like, I was, very complimentary. I've never had someone as proactive as you. That's amazing. But I'm thinking, like, why did I waste my time coming here? And then I tweaked my pre-qualification survey so that I'd no longer spend time at people's kitchen tables when they're 5 years out. Well, turns out 2 years later, they call me. I go yesterday. The first thing, literally the first two things out of the husband and wife's mouth. Husband says, remember when we told you 5 to 10 years? Well, the time is now. The wife says, but we don't know what to do with all of our stuff. That was the first two things they said before we sat down. So I'm telling him, I'm giving them this exercise, and I kid you not, the visceral, like, that the wife had when I was showing her this, it was like very empowering. She said, that is a great idea. It's so basic. Like, it's so basic. But our clients are so overwhelmed. They just need us to empower them to take the next best step. We don't have to give them, here's what I would list your house for, and here's all the things you need to do to sell here. Like, you don't need to just overwhelm them more. You just need to meet them where they are and give them so much value. So that was my experience I wanted to share with you all and remind you the power of these very simple, not overthought tools that gives your client the next best step. So if you don't have that in your listing packet, I highly recommend it. It engages all 5 senses. It gives them something tactical. Like, you are giving them homework when you leave that listing appointment. You're not just coming and talking about yourself and showing them all the listings you've had and here's my marketing strategy and plan. You're actually giving them value and homework. Like, they have to do something when you leave. So that is super powerful. And now let's pivot that experience that I had yesterday to a social media post. Cindy, you're going to be in the hot seat because you spoke up. Lucky you. So let's brainstorm together. Like, how would you take that experience? Because that is a story. That's not a commercial. If I was at the title company with my arm around Mr. and Mrs. Seller saying, just sold, that's the commercial. But what story do we want to tell here? What are some ideas you might have?
Well, I mean, this is a frustration that a lot of people share. So, one of the things that someone in my accountability group said is we need to do a better job of telling people what we do for others. So, even
Mm-hmm.
just sharing that, like, oh, here's an issue a lot of you had. This is what I did for Martha, or, whatever that looks like.
Mm-hmm. So reverse engineering a solution to a problem is what
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we want to tell people how we're solving their problems before they even identify it as a problem.
Hmm.
So in order to do that effectively on any platform, I don't care if you're on TikTok, I don't care if you're on Snapchat, I don't care if you're on LinkedIn, the most formal, or Facebook or Instagram, but the way to do that is with a hook and with a story. So
Hmm.
we want to stop the scroll and get people engaged in the first 3 seconds that they see our post. So when I am not feeling witty, which is rare because I love a good quick wit joke, but I often feel uninspired. I will use ChatGPT, and I do pay for the paid version, and they have an Insta Guru. If you've Here, why don't I share my screen and we'll just do this real time.
Insta Guru. I was wondering if the paid
Insta
version had above the non-paid version because I love the non-paid version.
I mean, it's great.
Mhm.
So this is a whole nother masterclass, but this week, ChatGPT launched a new function called deep research, and that is also so beneficial for us. Like you can type in, tell me who the top 10 realtors are serving the 65 plus population in St. Louis, Missouri, and analyze their marketing plan for me. And it will take 15 to 30 minutes, and it will literally do deep research, and then it spits out a multi-page report that is like super scary. But we'll talk about that another day. I'll do a whole masterclass on it. I went down a rabbit hole on this deep research function here, and I think that's only in the paid, and it's in beta test right now, so it's only in the paid.
I do
If
have it on my non-paid. I pulled it
Oh,
up.
you should
Yeah.
you should definitely play with it because as you see here, it's available until May 23rd or 21. So you only have an allotted amount of deep research searches
Oh,
because it takes a ton of energy, I'm sure. I don't understand how it all works on the back end, but
yeah.
Where
So I have five
Instaguru.
available. So
is
that's probably the
Oh.
unpaid
the
version.
deep is Instaguru the deep search?
So Instaguru over here is more an expert on social media. So the data points that Instaguru is pulling is specific to social media, as you see here. Actually, it says Instagram, so specific to Instagram. But Meta owns Instagram and Facebook, so if it performs on Instagram, it'll perform on Facebook. So Instaguru is a safe bet for Facebook and Instagram. And
Okay,
it says it's a friendly Instagram expert here to boost your social media presence. So I would say if I was feeling uninspired, no idea what hook I want to use. Now, I am going to tell you, I already have my post queued up for today. So this is probably going to be way better when you see a not good version that I post in just a little bit. It's because I've already scheduled it. But, anyways, let's do this together. So I would say I am looking to tell the story about how I bring value to my downsizing clients outside of merely facilitating a real estate transaction. Yesterday, I introduced a basic exercise called the room reflection exercise to my potential client, thinking it was a pretty kindergarten task, yet her response told me otherwise. Please give me a scroll stopping hook and caption to tell this story effectively, clearly, and non salesy. See how detailed that is? Like, I'm not just saying, I need an Instagram real topic. Like, I'm telling it exactly what I want it to do. And it will undoubtedly give me a really great, love this. Well, thank you. You're highlighting the deeper emotional and service oriented side of your work, which is powerful for Instagram. Here's the scroll stopping hook and caption. Now, I'll tell you, I never use the first ones because I don't always love them. So I'll say, like, I love the path you're on. Please give me 10 more. Sometimes the smallest exercises create the biggest breakthroughs. Actually, I really like that. I, as an Enneagram 3 self improver, that's going to stop my scroll. Like, wait, what? I want to become better. Tell me what small exercise I can do. But I really like that hook. So then that could be on a still, like you could just do a picture of the actual exercise and then you could put that caption over the top. Or you could just do B-roll of your desk. It doesn't have to be like this perfect, got my videographer on the set and we did 10 takes. Like it could be anything that gives the feeling of had a meeting, met with a client. It could be a coffee if you bring coffee to your clients, or if you're always drinking coffee like me, it could just be like a coffee cup on a table. Anything that gives the met with a client feel, or client, and what's the word I'm looking for? Client consultation, like any setting that you would do a consult in, that could be a picture if you don't have anything ready to go in your phone. And then here is the caption. Yesterday, I introduced a simple room reflection exercise to a potential downsizing client. Honestly, I thought it might feel a little basic, almost like a kindergarten assignment. That's very much my tone. So my chat GPT has totally figured me out. But her response stopped me in my tracks. She didn't just list what was in the room. She shared stories, memories. So I will change that and say, like, what I thought was going to be a kindergarten assignment turned into a huge relief. It gave her, and then I'm going to say what outcome I gave her. It gave her one actionable step to take the next step towards a big monumental move or something like that. And then the wrap up is when you're downsizing, it's not just a real estate transaction. It's a journey of letting go, blah, 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 blah. So this gives you stuff to work with. Like this is probably not all my tone, but it gives me a really good idea. And then you've told the story, and it's a little bit of a humble brag, but it also, you could have a call to action. Like, it depends on who you talk to. I talk to the eldest adult daughter. So my call to action is going to say, is your mom, like, have you noticed that your mom is overwhelmed by all her stuff? Reach out and I'll send you this for free. Like give people the solution that you've given your client and that you just told the story about. So that is where I think your compassionate heart, service centric business will shine through when you're telling the stories of how you helped your clients, not just the result. Does that make sense?
Right. So if I wanted to do something, similar, I don't have the history or the story, then it starts to become a little bit more educational than emotional. I'm trying to figure out like how I could share the information about the room review or whatever that's going to be more heartfelt than, hey, here's a great tool for you. Step 1, step 2, step 3.
Have you ever been in reading class or gone to church?
Yeah.
What do we get in both of those places? Stories,
Right.
parables. There's stories passed down, and they still evoke emotion. So you could simply say, I heard a story from a colleague that blah, 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 blah. Isn't
Okay.
that cool? Or like, I'm definitely not about fake marketing because I think so many people do that where they say like, I had this experience and they didn't. So that
Right.
feels a little icky. But you could even make it about yourself. Like I have made pieces of content before where I was like, or like real time. I was putting this together for my client yesterday and I was reminded about all my husband's books in the basement and it like put me into anxiety mode. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. So you could say like when prepping my listing or when prepping for an appointment with a client, I was reminded of my own burden that I'm carrying and I can't wait to get rid of XYZ this weekend, or I can't wait to tackle one room at a time through this resource. So then you're like making it about you, it draws your clients in that like they're not alone. Oh, Cindy also is overwhelmed by the amount that she's accumulated over the years. I guess there isn't anything to be ashamed of. And it just makes trust. It drives trust because you're being real about you. But I totally understand that mindset blocker of, well, I don't have the track record. All you need is one experience, really. Or if you have an experience of helping a loved one or a past client that you didn't know about this exercise, you could flip the script and say, if only I would have had this tool when I served Mrs. Brown or Mr. Seller. He was so overwhelmed. I'm so grateful that now I can guide my clients to take the next best step. Mr. Brown, so sorry I didn't have this in the past, with like a winky emoji or something like, oh, or like a, oh, crap. But there's a lot of ways to go about it. Let's talk, because you're in the hot seat on voluntold, let's talk more about more like the personal stuff. I jumped on when you were telling Paul what ChatGPT said about some of those personal. Let's dive into those. Tell me more about those.
About the personal, so there were 2 points. One was that I should be more or hit more of the emotional things with the clients rather than educating. And then the other one was I should be more reflective of how fun I am.
Okay.
So those were kind of the 2 that resonated with me, that I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
how. And it's funny because when I used to post before I had my business, I would do silly, crazy things, but now I feel like, oh, I want people to take me seriously. So I think maybe I
Okay.
took it too far.
I am going to give you an example of a phenomenal speaker I just heard at a conference last week. I mean, this gal is hilarious, and she does a huge business and is not serious on Instagram, but is so polished. She is so professional. I went to a conference. It was an EXP, like women in real estate conference. I will tell you, of the maybe 20, 25 speakers, this woman took the cake, and I told her she was the best speaker. And her talk was on branding, personal branding. So if you find this page valuable, and it gave me a little bit of hope because she only has 3,500 followers, which isn't a ton. I know for some of us, we're like, oh, that's so much, but she's not a mega influencer by any stretch of the imagination. She's just a normal gal, but she does some dancing, and she like makes fun of it. Um, yeah, she's great. Her name's Natalie. I was voice memoing her on my walk yesterday. But take a look at her. I think she does a really good job at marrying like professionalism with ridiculousness, and still very polished. Like if I was looking to hire someone, I would not be scared. Am I sharing my screen right now? I don't think so. Let me just
No.
show you some of her stuff.
I love that professionalism with ridiculousness.
Yes, yes. And her talk was so good. Let me read you a quote that I took a screenshot of that really encouraged me. And this is actually, it goes exactly for what you're talking about. She said that our lived experience is our edge, or our, what did she call it? Basically, like we all have something to bring to the table. And
So it's Natalie I. Davison.
correct. Where is it? I have so many pictures of screenshots.
Well, right off the top, one of her first ones is of her dancing. I think that's fun.
Yes, that's why I thought of it. And
Mhm.
she brought that up. She was on a panel at EXP Con, and she said that she was interviewing these 3. She was like the panel host, and she was interviewing these 3 men, and it was about social media. And one of the guys was like, I just wish people would stop doing stupid dances on their social media. And she was like, well, that's fascinating. And it gave her the it gave her it just gave her the fire of like, this is actually working for me. And that's what's so great about social media. But her quote was, the gap between average and extraordinary is not talent, it's alignment. And she was talking about when you're not aligned with who you actually are, you're never going to scale because you're too worried about what, like, how you're showing up, what are others thinking. But if you're truly true to yourself and you're aligned, then that's when you achieve extraordinary. And so if you have some downtime today, just take a look at some of her stuff. But I think those are two really good things to focus on, bringing emotion into like the emotional side of it instead of educational, and then just showing up fun because people relate. Another example, like when I was walking around with my clients yesterday, I could not believe I said this out loud, but you know, they love showing you all the things. And um, she said, "Oh, I still have my wedding gown." They have to be in their 80s. I mean, I'm not assigning ages to anyone. They've been married over 55 years. They have to be in their 80s. But I was like, "Oh, I wish I still had my wedding gown. I got a rip all the way down the middle because I was dancing too hard." And she was like, "Whoa, you're a good time." And I was like, "Ah, yeah." But you know, I just don't hold back. I'm still professional, but I think, yeah, I hope this was valuable.
Yeah, very valuable.
Take a free resource that we have inside of the membership. Go take a couple pictures of it, print it out, take a couple pictures of it, and then give an emotional story. Be somebody's endpoint. Tell somebody how you're going to get them to where they need to go. And it's okay if you don't have a real client that has had that experience yet. Just give us an emotional story about that and then highlight that every day, what you're doing.
But your comment about if you don't align with your personal self, you're not going to move forward. I kind of feel like that's exactly where I am. I've been stuck at the same amount of followers for how long? And I post 1, 2, 3 times every single day, and I can't get to 1,000 followers. So, you know, trying to be more of my authentic self, and then I'm going to maybe overthink things less.
Yes, and follower count does not matter because if we all touch 200 plus 1 people every single day,
Right.
the math is that we will do 20 deals a year. Like
Right.
it's okay to just have 200 followers. Like we don't,
Right.
follower count is a ghost metric. It does not matter. Engagement and just consistency with showing up. So thank you for being brave and vulnerable and sharing. I can't wait to see how fun you're going to be on social media. And if anybody has any needs, if you need us for anything, you can reach out to us personally. And since Cindy was so gracious, everybody should go look up her social media today, show her some love, share one of her favorite posts of yours in your stories or comment. Just show her some love. If you want to drop your social in the chat, we'll all do that and lift you up today.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day and go forth and be amazing. I'm going to wait until I see your. Okay.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Sorry it was all about me, but it was helpful.
No, everybody's thinking the same things. It's all good.
Okay.
Awesome. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.